I think people are overreacting when it comes down to physical discs not being a thing after 2028, at least for PlayStation. Now, I've heard so many different takes about why this is like such a terrible thing. And I think once you start getting deeper into it, I don't really think it's something that people are really going to miss all too much anyway. I don't really have an issue with people being upset about not being able to have the option of physical disc anymore. But I mean, the stats do speak for themselves. People aren't really buying them anymore anyway. And it's funny because I listen to certain YouTubers that I agree with, not to take a shot at anybody, but like, for example, Jay Rance, he has a series about why modern games sucks going back some years ago, and I agree with everything he says. Modern gaming does suck. But the issue then becomes if we understand that modern gaming sucks, why then are we upset about physical disc not being a thing when we don't really even play games like that anymore?
We? We.
I can tell you for me personally, I probably bought less than 10 games since I got my PlayStation 5 in 2022. It's been 4 years, and I can honestly tell you that I don't think I'll be buying a PlayStation 6, whether they have physical disc or not. To me, digital gaming isn't really a big issue since I get all my games digitally on Steam anyway. But PC gaming to me has really filled a void in what console pretty much left. I think PC gaming is just where the fun is all at. It's actually going to come back and bite Sony in the ass. And I'm pretty sure Microsoft is going to follow suit and do exactly what Sony is doing. I think more people are going to be buying PCs than ever. And really, you don't even need to buy a PC anymore. I mean, there's other alternatives like you have the ROG Ally X, like I have, and then you have the Steam Decks. Lenovo has a handheld device. Is so many handheld devices out there that run Windows and that I actually think is honestly more worth it to buy than a console, to be honest. And I think developers have to be honest with themselves. Like, emulation is getting better. And I think one day is going to catch up to the console cycle. And technology is just ramping up so fast. Who's to say that during the PlayStation 6 cycle, there isn't a PlayStation 6 emulator that dropped? And it's so good, it can run PlayStation 6 titles during the PlayStation 6 cycle. Like, that's just crazy to even think about. But I'm not sure that that's impossible. And if that's the case, then do anybody really need to buy a PlayStation 6? Because people keep talking about you don't really own games. I think as long as it's on your hard drive, you own it. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's on your hard drive, you own it. Because, I mean, I take my ROG with me and I can play my ROG offline and I can play every single emulation game that I want. And so to me, I pretty much own these games. And honestly, the way my brain is wired, if I no longer have access to these games, then that means that I no longer am living. I mean, because we got to be honest with ourselves. I mean, emulation is not going anywhere. Having an emulator is not illegal. Now, having ROMs is illegal, but let's be honest, man. There's always going to be ROMs out there. Always going to be ROMs to find. There's always going to be files everywhere. Even if a site gets taken down, there's always going to be another site up. And that's what I mean is like you're always going to have access to these titles. You're always going to have access to these games as long as the internet is a thing. So if I no longer have access to these games, then that means the internet is no longer a thing. And if that's the case, then playing games is the least of my worries anyway. For my final point, I think companies better play nice. One thing that we also know is on the rise is AI gaming. And I don't really care what these old man AI slop motherfuckers got to say because if a game is fun, I don't really give a fuck who developed it, whether it was AI or a real person. All I know is that there's already YouTubers out here making games with AI and it's in the early stages, but it's only going to get better. And there's going to be a point in time where you and I can make a game with AI just by writing a prompt. And when that becomes a reality, do I need to pay $100 for a game anymore? Do I need to pay $80 for a game anymore? Do I need to pay $70 for a game anymore? I mean, sooner or later, people are going to be making whatever game they want. I mean, think about this. We already have an AI that can pretty much 3D animate anything. I 3D animate one of my homies. Now it's not perfect, but I did it. I can literally put him in a game that I want to create and make him my main character. I think all this is going to blow up in the faces of these developers, Sony and Microsoft. They got to really think about the future and what this really means. People are going to end up creating their own stuff, and the power is going to go back to the consumers, regardless if they act right or not. So I think the best thing for them to do is to, man, just play nice. I would just give the consumers what they want. Just play nice. Because it's going to end bad for you companies regardless. And if you guys think I'm tripping, I mean, look at the landscape of YouTube. You got everybody making their own AI thumbnails now. Like nobody's really paying nobody to make thumbnails or nobody's creating their thumbnails anymore. I mean, some people still do. I still create my thumbnails a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll get AI assets like, certain things out AI, but for the most part, it's me creating my own thumbnails. But if you look around YouTube, a lot of people use AI, and that's just going to be the future. And even in gaming, even when I make 3D animation, like when I'm doing my 3D animation, I'm using a lot of AI. Now, not everything in my scenes are AI, but some of it is, especially when I can't, physically make it or I'm having trouble to physically make something, then I'll just run it through the AI and get me a little AI freezer spaceship or something, and I'll put it in my scene. But we're going to see what happens in the future. Like I said, Sony, Microsoft, you guys better play nice. And even Nintendo, you guys better play nice, man.